Welcome back to Camera West TV. My name's Carlo, and on today's episode, we're taking a look at the Leica SL3-S and doing a slight comparison against the Leica SL2-S as well as the Leica SL3. Now, as you may know, most of the videos that I make on this channel are made with the Leica SL2-S. Most recently, I've used the Leica SL2-S for the thumbprints and signatures thin-bar video, as well as the feature on our friend Demondre, and you can check those videos out right up here. Now, this was the main camera for video work as well as photo work for many years on the channel, and then along came the Leica SL3, which boasted a new sensor as well as higher video specs. The SL3 intrigued me a lot because of its updated autofocus with the addition of phase detection, as well as the new in-body stabilization, which is a true 5-axis stabilization. And I used this camera most recently on our feature of Todd Hido as well as Mark DePaola, which you can also check out right up here. So it was to my excitement that when the SL3-S was announced, I figured this was going to be a combination of both the SL2-S as well as the SL3. And that's exactly what we got, or sort of. Much like its predecessors, the Leica SL3 as well as the Leica SL3-S are basically the same camera externally. You still have the articulating screen that tilts up and down, and you still have the IP54 weather sealing. Additionally, you still have the same storage slots, which are for UHS 2 cards as well as CF Express Type B cards. Internally, both cameras are still powered by the Maestro 4 processor, which boosts a lot of speed, requiring the new BP-SCL6 battery, which gives you 30% more battery life over the BP-SCL4 battery, which is found in the previous generations. And as for the sensor inside both these cameras, they are both backside illuminated sensors. Now, if you don't know what that is, you can check out our Leica SL3-S video or our M11 video right above. All right, enough about the Leica SL3 as well as the SL2-S. Let's check out what makes the Leica SL3-S much different. The Leica SL3-S features a new backside illuminated sensor that is only 24 megapixels. That's a huge departure from the Leica SL3's 60 megapixel triple resolution sensor. The combination of the Maestro 4 processor and 8 gigs of buffer provides exceptional performance for the Leica SL3-S. As I mentioned earlier, phase detection was introduced in the Leica SL3, and that's a huge step up from the autofocus from the Leica SL2-S. Now, the SL3-S takes it a step further and still includes phase detection, but now it has 779 autofocus points. That is much more reliable and faster, along with its faster processing speed. The SL3-S now features 30 frames per second in autofocus continuous mode for fast-paced action. So the SL3-S is pretty reliable when it comes to tracking, following, or even just needing to get those very quick shots. Now, this is the second camera to introduce content credentials that Leica offers, the first being the Leica M11P. For those of you that might be wondering why 24 megapixels or, oh man, 24 megapixels, we were done with that. The SL2-S was the perfect camera for that. Well, this camera features a handheld multi-shot mode and is missing from the Leica SL3, which I will double check, but I'm pretty sure it's not in this camera yet. But anyway, you can get a 96 megapixel file from this camera versus the 160 megapixel file from this camera. So in a way, it's got some multi-resolution, but you know, it's not gonna be as fast as the single frame that you can get from the Leica SL3. And now moving on to video specs. So as I mentioned earlier, these were the two cameras that I used the most for this channel. And when the Leica SL3-S was announced, I was really hoping for something special, and I was actually very surprised and pleased with the new OpenGate 6K recording. OpenGate isn't a new feature for most modern hybrid cameras or cinema cameras, but I think this is a game changer coming from the normal 16:9 aspect ratio that you can only get with these two cameras. Having the new 3:2 ratio gave me a little bit more flexibility, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. The Leica SL3-S also features unlimited 5.8K ProRes 422 HQ recording, 5.9K 12-bit RAW video output, and direct-to SSD recording through USB-C. And at the time of this recording, later in 2025, this camera will support camera-to-cloud integration, which is through Frame.io, so you can have seamless cloud workflows. Now that we've gone through all the tech specs for these three cameras, I'm gonna give you my personal experience using the Leica SL3-S. My overall experience and initial thoughts of using the SL3-S over these two cameras was it felt pretty much the same. And what I mean by that is it gave me the speed and functionality of the Leica SL3, but it still gave me the familiarity that I love about the SL2-S. The sensor on this camera specifically has been one of my favorite sensors, and just the way that it overall looks and performs has been the main reason why I choose this camera opposed to the SL3 or the SL2 or even the SL1. This camera specifically just has a look that I personally love. It's one of these cameras that when you use it, you don't really get tired of using it. And as for the SL3, I do love that you have all of these updated features, but what was detracting for me was the higher resolution sensor. Now, the SL3-S does correct some of those issues with the rolling shutter at 24 megapixels. It's still pretty much there. You can kind of see it in the SL2-S as well, but that's pretty much expected when it comes to the way that these sensors perform. Going back to using it for video, I did love the fact that I had a tilt screen. With the SL2-S, I typically need to use an external monitor, and for me, that's not always the easiest to bring. I don't always want to bring a huge setup or rig. Sometimes I want to be low key and low profile, and that's where the SL3-S really shined. I mean, not just because it has a tilt screen, but it is basically this camera updated for today's standards. So my thoughts on the Leica SL3's image output is phenomenal. Personally, I don't need more than 24 megapixels for most of what I like to do. The color profile is a little bit richer and sharper as opposed to the Leica SL2-S, which, you know, is already such a good sensor like I mentioned. And it's not as high resolution as the SL3, but with the addition of the handheld multi-shot mode, I do think that it gives you some versatility and a slight argument as to why you would want, you know, the Leica SL3-S. Multi-shot was also featured in the SL2 and 2S, but you needed a tripod to use it. So that's a really good testament to how good the image stabilization is in both of these cameras. In terms of ISO performance, the SL3-S blows both of these cameras out of the water. The SL2-S only goes up to about 50,000, and then the SL3 goes up to 100,000. So coming in at 200,000, that's pretty much the same range that you get in the M11 monochrome, but for a color sensor. That's pretty ridiculous. And the new max ISO is a whopping 200,000. 200,000. That's crazy. The higher ISO capabilities really saved me in low light situations for both photo and video. I will say that the autofocus is definitely much snappier. I found it much more sticky in the way that if I had a point focused on a subject and they were walking away from the camera, it would track. I was very surprised, and that's why for a long time I would either use manual focus for videos, and I would also hope for the best with autofocus, or I would use the Leica Photos app like I'm using right now to control the Leica SL2-S in front of me. So most of the time when I'm walking around with the Leica SL2-S, I like to have a smaller form factor as opposed to the L lenses or any of the autofocus lenses that you can get for the cameras. So I typically like to adapt M lenses, and honestly, it kind of changes the whole experience for the camera. Let me put one on real quick. So I have the M Adapter L, and then I have a 35 Summilux. Just put this on real quick. And then let's put this, oops. Let's put this lens on for comparison. As you can see here, these cameras have two different profiles. Definitely adapting M lenses to the SL system has been one of my favorite things to do. I just would rather walk around with this kind of system versus this system, albeit you can get smaller L mount lenses, but I just prefer the way M lenses look. I think you can get a much different character, and like I mentioned in previous episodes of thumbprints and signatures, it's a way to soften up the digital sensor or digital look, and for me, I would much rather walk around with this. Even though it is 24 megapixels, the files and the workability of the files is definitely a leg up from the SL2-S. But let me know what you think. Would you prefer higher resolution or speed and low light performance? I mentioned earlier briefly that this camera features content credentials. Now, I didn't get a chance to use it myself, but I think that's a great integration for modern cameras. With the advancements in AI, photographers these days need to be able to prove that what they shot is a real photo. And much like a physical negative, content credentials is another way to prove that what photo you make in camera is definitely a photo and not a digital augmented image. So that's great for journalists, documentarians, and general street photography if you want to prove that the photo is the photo and you did everything in camera. When this camera was released earlier this year, I had very limited time using the camera, so instead of making the video that I'm making now, I opted to make a postcard video documenting the last day of 2024 here in San Francisco. Now, the whole concept of it all was pretty much a postcard where I take stationary scenes and let them play out. I wanted to document the last sunrise, kind of a little bit during the daytime, and then the last sunset, and then the final fireworks show along Embarcadero. I figured these would be good situations to really show off the video capabilities and low light capabilities of this camera. As I mentioned earlier, I really like using M lenses with this system, and with the addition of the 6K open gate format, I thought it would be a great opportunity to actually use M lenses to make a video. So I used the 35 FLE Summilux as well as the 50 Summilux spherical. Now these are not the close focus versions, these are the version previous, and I thought these would make for a compact light setup walking around, moving around the city. The other part of the video was filmed with the 24-90, which I don't have in front of me, but I did like the autofocus performance from that lens. I thought it was amazing that when I walked in front of the camera in the beginning of the video, it snapped directly to me. I didn't need to tell it anything. I didn't have the Leica Photos app open. It just knew that there was a person walking through the frame and it automatically locked onto me. So I thought that would be a cool way to start using this camera to film in the field. I definitely pushed the limits of the high ISO capabilities with the SL3-S. I think shooting it at night was probably the best way to showcase how different it performs from the SL3. I think if I had this camera when I was making the Mark video as well as the Todd video, it would have given me, one, much more recording time, and two, the flexibility I love from the SL2-S. Going back to the open gate format, it was nice to be able to shoot photos and videos at the same time while filming. I think it's a little bit jarring to recompose in your head or on the screen from 3:2 to 16:9. So not having that crop factor, it really lets you stay in the moment and get stills as well as video at the same time. All right, so we're reaching the tail end here. So my closing thoughts. So now that we've gone over these three cameras, will the Leica SL3-S replace the Leica SL2-S? The short answer is maybe. I think using this camera ultimately will be the road that I'll take. I think this camera is going to be a mainstay for a lot of people, much like how the SL2-S was. So these little additions and features that were introduced in the SL3 are now pretty crucial for the SL3-S. I think it's gonna be hard going back to filming like this as opposed to using a full rig. Like, you can't beat this. This is gonna be the smallest format that you can get in the Leica system for video. This is like pretty crazy. And for those of you who are thinking, oh, I could just use the Q3, well, the fact that you can change your lenses and get a different output, you just can't beat this. This is pretty freaking awesome. But I think there'll still be a place for the SL2-S. Now that these are roughly the same type and resolution sensor, I think the trade-off of having better low light capabilities and speed over higher resolution and detail is gonna be my preference. But like I said, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you go back and check Mark DePaola's video, these were the two cameras that were used for both of those. The main camera was the SL3, and Sage was using the SL2-S as a secondary angle camera. So go back and check that out if you want to see the difference in quality or if you can't tell the difference at all. And if you haven't watched the postcard video, you can check that out up here. Think of it as a demo reel for the Leica SL3-S. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Camera West TV. If you have time, please check out the Tools of Time blog. There you can check out the postcard video, more behind the scenes, and you can check out previous articles that we've done for past videos. You can see all the photos and take your time and read more about the camera. And don't forget to check out Leica Store SF and Camera West for all your new and pre-owned needs. Pretty much you can get these Summilux-s, you can get an SL2, yeah. You can find it all. Make sure to like and subscribe and let me know what you think about the SL3-S. Do you think this should be the new camera moving forward? Or do you think I should still stick to the SL2-S? Or should I just go all out and just use the SL3? I think I know my answer, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And once again, this is Carlo. Thank you for watching.